What is going on, guys? Thank you for joining us. It's the 25th of the 5th, and we're here for the Monday night show. The playoffs have just finished today, so we have an exciting show for you tonight. Tonight we are supporting the University of Worcester Nightline service again. You can call them and email them if you've just finished your exams, or for anything really. If you just fancy a chat, give them a call, give them an email. You'll see the address. It's going to be on the show for the whole of the evening. We have Colin with us all the way from the United States of America, so thank you for joining us, Colin.
Oh, thank you, guys. Good to be here.
It's fantastic to have you on. I'd like to thank people who have been supportive of me over the weekend, as I had a health scare, which was always exciting, but I managed to catch the football, so it's all good. We're going to start with League 2, James. Southend Wycombe, with Southend winning it on penalties, 7-6.
Yeah, I caught the extra time and I caught the penalties, and it was very exciting. The penalties, as always, especially when your team's not involved, and it just comes down to who's got the bottle and who's unlucky. To be honest, there is skill involved, but it's a shame to lose it on penalties. But it's great for the neutral to see.
Southend goalkeeper Daniel Bentley was his side's hero.
Yeah, he's very highly rated. There's a few clubs looking at him, and I mean Premier League clubs, not just Championship and above.
Yeah, it's I mean, as you said perfectly there, James. When your side's not involved, it's fantastic sometimes to go down to penalties. Either a high-scoring game or ending with an extra time or penalty is always good to watch. As long as your team isn't involved, because then obviously you're just hiding behind your couch if you are watching from home. But we're going to move on League 1. I caught this game, and Preston just exploded out of the traps against Swindon, winning the game 4-0 with Jermaine Beckford scoring a hat-trick to help Preston obviously end their dismal playoff record. But that's another promotion for Simon Grayson. Ryan, he's a playoff expert, it appears.
It appears so, and if he's an expert, then why not have him there? He's proven it. Now he's gone up again.
He's a good manager, I think. He did well at Leeds, he did well at Huddersfield, doing it at Preston. I can't put my finger on the fourth club. Someone will shout it at me. But yeah, it did well. Jermaine Beckford getting the hat-trick. I don't know if that was the biggest story, Colin, or whether it was the fact of the shirt in the crowd getting stolen.
When I saw that the shirt got swiped to get sold, that was awful.
It's shocking, and it kind of takes away from what a fantastic performance Preston have had. Then all over the internet is just this shirt getting taken situation, and we're now talking about it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, James, for Preston to be back in the Championship as well. It seems a few years since they were there, so it's great to see them back up in the Championship.
Yeah, big club, and it was a very convincing win. But about the shirt, I would like to see either Beckford himself or the club get in contact with the boy and give him a shirt. Obviously, you'd like the original one back, but the chances of that happening are slim, so hopefully they get in contact with the young boy. But the game was all about Beckford. Preston were really, really good. And I was actually disappointed in Swindon. They just didn't really seem up for the fight. They had quite a lot of shots, but none of them were really worthy of anything against the goalkeeper.
Yeah, I mean, Beckford, he could have had 5 or 6. I mean, there was a couple he missed a one-on-one. Swindon were just shocking. Which was strange because they'd actually rested quite a lot of players in the build-up to the playoffs. So in the running, in the normal league campaign, they didn't put out the strongest squads. So I was quite surprised. I was quite surprised about that they literally just didn't turn up, like you said, James. But
yeah,
sorry, go on.
Beckford's goals might attract a few clubs because he actually got released by, I think, Bolton last week, so he's really just there until, well, that's him done now. So he can basically sign for who he wants now. He doesn't actually have a club at the minute.
Yeah, he has been released, you're right there. I mean, I know when they interviewed him after the game, he got interviewed alongside the captain of Preston, and he turned around and said, hopefully he's with us next year. So I think the players are already starting to say to him, look, come back, you know you want to. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Can he do it in the Championship? Unsure. He obviously was up at Everton, wasn't he, in the Premier League, didn't really do much. He's no bad player. I think he's just had a bad few years, so maybe he can if he sticks around at Preston, he's got the confidence within the club, hasn't he? So he can push on, Colin.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting to see him get a, kind of take the season, and obviously that huge confidence vault that he's going to take coming into wherever he lands next season. It'd be great to see him, stay at Preston, get another really good year in the championship underneath him, and see what happens.
Yeah,
so hopefully he uses it as a springboard.
I mean, he's a bit experienced now. I mean, I think he's 31, James. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, about that, yeah.
So hopefully he's got a few years left in him now, and he's a bit more experienced. He's a bit more of a calming character, because he seemed a bit loose when he was at Everton. He was either playing well or just not turning up. But we're going to go on to the Championship final, which took place today, which was Norwich versus Middlesbrough. Obviously, a lot of people were back in Middlesbrough. I think they went in as the favourites by the bookies due to all the money thrown on them. But again, James, a team that just didn't turn up.
Yeah, this was very split. I mean, we even did a poll on our Facebook page, and honestly, there was one vote in it, and it was so hard to call this game. And I went for Borough, but it just didn't turn up. And I've got to say, what a job Alex Neil has done. He was virtually unknown at Hamilton outside Scotland, and what an incredible job he's done.
Yeah, I mean, I know this. After the match, they had the interview with him, and they mentioned to him, the great experience of going up through the playoffs, and he turned around and said, well, I did it last year with Hamilton, now I've done it this year with Norwich, so he enjoys the playoffs. But yeah, as you say, he was unknown. I know when he got the job in Norwich, a lot of people were posting on our Facebook group saying, basically, who is this? And he's come in, he's gained the respect, and he's basically dragged them up the table.
He had nothing to lose.
Well, that's it, James. I mean, I think that's a part of it. But I know it was mentioned, I think it was in the pre-match, when they were talking about him, they said he basically has more of like a fear attitude. Like he kind of makes the players do what he says. So
I think he wasn't coming like Neil Lennon. Neil Lennon won all the trophies multiple times at Celtic, whereas he had done well with a mediocre team in Scotland and got them promoted, and he'd been a player there for about 10 years, so it wasn't like the pressure was really on him. A lot of people didn't really know who he was, what he was about, so I think he put the pressure on himself, really.
Third in the table as well when he left them in the SPL, so they were having en route for a good season as well. But fair play to him, and fair play to Norwich. They definitely stepped up, Ryan, and they deserve to be in the Premier League. I know Jay and Charlie from our Facebook group were there.
Well, yeah, and we've not heard from Jay all day, so we can assume he's probably out in the pub celebrating, and rightly so, watching that performance on some of the players. I can see them doing quite well in the Premier League next year. I think they'll stay up.
They've got a lot of Premier League experience, haven't they?
Yeah, Nathan Redmond. They've got a few youngsters that are coming through as well. They've got a very good youth system, so they've got a good future ahead, I think.
I think if he keeps playing the way they played, Colin, I think they'll stay up, because there's a lot worse teams in the Premier League at the minute.
Yeah, Newcastle being one of them. No, I think it's a really solid club. It's a well-run club. I think they have a good history in the Premier League, so it's not a shock. This is nothing new to them moving up in there. So I would agree. I think that I wouldn't favor them to go down. I think somebody who hung on this year, like a Leicester City, would be more of a danger to go down. I think these guys have a good setup, a good experience on the team, a couple of little tweaks to be made to the team to really bring it to a good level, and I suspect that they should survive and have a good campaign next year.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely look more in a few minutes about the Premier League and who we think might struggle next year. But we're just going to quickly jump on to some manager sackings which have happened. James and I have been busy also on these. Carlo Ancelotti has been sacked by Real Madrid, and we actually have a listener called Tech90 saying, what do you make of Carlo Ancelotti being sacked? James, as the editor man, what's your thoughts on that?
This is Real Madrid, biggest club in the world for me, and they don't take no for an answer. They don't get success, they'll move you on, bring somebody else in. if they don't get it, they'll do exactly the same.
11 managers in 15 years.
Well, that tells you all. They want immediate success. If they don't get it, they'll put you out the door.
It's not only that. If you remember, there was a Del Bosque, Ryan, who won the League Cup double and then got sacked.
Yep.
So even if you do well, if you don't fit their
Philosophy.
their bill, their philosophy or like the image for the club. Look at the rumours that Di Maria got moved on because he was too ugly, for example.
I think it's a case of you've got the chance. You either win the Champions League, you win the league, or you win both. You don't do that, you're gone.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think that I was reading. There was a good article in the U.S. On ESPN FC that was kind of talking about the same thing. It said, look at what he did. So, he's got the Club World. He won the FIFA Club World Championship. He won the Super Cup. But Barcelona sort of reemerged and have a shot at a treble this year. And Real Madrid's going to walk away, hardly empty-handed, but just without anything that they really value. And it's just an absolutely unacceptable situation there, which. Yeah, it's tough for a guy who's clearly a fantastic manager.
He's going to land on his feet. I think we all know that. Going to a couple of the
Liverpool.
Could be, James, could be. I think it's a strange situation, Liverpool, at the minute. But going through, Roberto Di Matteo has been sacked by Schalke. Steve McLaren's been sacked by Derby. Now, this confused me because if you remember back before Steve McLaren coming, Nigel Clough was there. Derby were in the bottom half of the Championship for a couple of seasons in a row. So they've now missed out on promotion a couple of years in a row. But since he's come in and took over, they've improved greatly. I mean, I think it's all strange when they sack a manager who, when they took over, they were struggling in the league, and then they've kind of had a couple of years where they're kind of building something, James, and then they've just gone and sacked him.
I think there's more to it than just this. From what I believe, well, I don't know if I believe it, but from what I've heard is he kept on getting mentioned in the Newcastle job, but initially he said, I don't want any of that, I'm here, I'm focused at Derby. And then they kept on cropping up, and it was believed Newcastle actually tried to take him as the manager with 3 games remaining. And he sort of never denied it. He never said it, and that's when he sort of maybe changed his mind. Maybe his head wasn't fully at Derby, and he was actually wanting to go. But there's more to it than just sacking him, because it's very bizarre.
Yeah, I know. Jake's saying on the side, he said he thinks it's more about the fact they were top and storming the league, and then they go on such a bad run. Which, you can see. I mean, it's almost like the Sam Allardyce situation. He's obviously not renewing his contract at West Ham. Again, in my opinion, I think it's the wrong decision. I know they keep saying he's not playing the West Ham way, but obviously they don't exactly win trophies every year. So what is the West Ham way, Ryan? Fantastic. I'm glad you agree, Ryan. Colin, what about yourself? What do you think's the West Ham way?
I think I agree with you. As much as I've watched them, I don't find it. I don't see a style. I don't see an identity. I thought early in the year when they were really sort of hanging around at the top of the table, you could see something forming because there was energy, there was enthusiasm. They played hard for 90 minutes. They were pushing and flying all over the field, and then it kind of fell apart at the end of the season again. So I have no clue what the West Ham way would be.
Go on, James.
I think it's the old style that obviously wasn't successful, as in the Premier League, but the flair player of the Lampard, Joe Cole, Di Canio, even the ball-playing Rio Ferdinand type player, those fancy players that were fantastic back then and were throughout their career, but they are a different generation. West Ham won't ever be able to bring a team like they had, some of the players that have come and gone. And for me, they're expecting too much to West Ham fans, and they're kind of like the Newcastle fans. They want what they aren't really going to get anytime soon.
Yeah. Nicholas on the side. Thanks for listening, Nicholas. Just on a little dig at Ryan there. I completely agree, and actually, James, you've brought it perfectly there. I mean, how many times do we talk about the entertainers? And I think all Newcastle fans now have moved on, and we understand that. We're not at that point now. It definitely would be nice to play some sexy football, and for example, but I just, as the Newcastle fans have been holding up James for weeks now, we just want a team that tries. We don't demand a team that wins. We demand a team that cares. I don't really.
Exactly.
I'm not really fussed on 90 minutes of sexy football as long as at the end of the match we turn around and go, God, they gave their heart and soul there. Um,
You
if they
can
don't,
take you can take a loss, but when there's no effort in that loss, that's what's hard to take.
yeah, it drives you crazy. Ryan, are you back?
I am, yeah.
Fantastic. Me and you are going to have a right slanger match now. Before we go into the Premier League, we're going to go on to a topic I brought up with Ryan earlier today. And his reply was so stupid. So I decided it was coming on the show to talk about it. Colin, it does involve you a little bit. Now,
Okay.
first I'm going to put it to James before we get to shout at Ryan. It was announced today, James, that in midweek, Manchester City are playing a friendly in Toronto. And a lot of the big names have been announced that they will be taking part in this friendly. Now, I'm sorry, but the season is over. How many times through the season do you see clubs complaining that the Europa League, for example, starts too early if you get into the Fair Play League, for example? Then why are clubs going abroad as soon as the season's finished to play basically corporate events?
It's all about the money, isn't it? That's the basic. That's the basics of it, and that's the simple answer. They'll go over there. Everybody knows who they are, but they keep spreading who they are, what they're about. People turn up to see them. It's all about money.
It's an absolute disgrace that they cannot all clubs do it, even the clubs that don't take part in these competitions will say, oh, the Europa League starts too early, or oh, the Premier League starts too early. It's a week early, we've had to come back early. Stop fucking off to America as soon as the league's finished. I mean, Colin, you live in America. Surely, I assume even more clubs have been announced which are coming over there that we haven't heard about yet, maybe here.
Well, I think the big one, the big stuff that's coming is the International Champions Cup, which is takes place mostly, or most of the month of July. That's probably the biggest where the big clubs.
Okay, we can accept them, Colin. We can accept them because they can they do class as pre-season, but
Yeah.
It's more this one which is happening in like 2 days' time or days' time.
Yeah, so I would agree. I think this is a weird one. It's very clearly. At least to me, it's very clearly a money play. I think they're trying to get into, for better or for worse. I think they watched the commercial success that Man U had here last year, and I think they're just trying to tap a market. I think they're trying to get in before the big guns get over here in the July timeframe to really hit up all the big friendlies with MLS and when Tottenham's coming for the All-Star game and all that. I think this is just a dash for cash to get in before everybody else gets in. Get some free TV time, sell some jerseys, promote yourself. Promote yourself a little bit before anybody gets here.
Are you ready for Ryan to tell you he thinks it's a good idea now?
No, technically I did not say it's a good idea. I said it's contractually obligated that the clubs have to go over there. Like Manchester United have to go over to America because of their owners and because of specific sponsorships. I didn't say it's a good idea. I didn't realise that the Man City game was going on. I had to actually look afterwards, and you'd gone by then, so we couldn't continue the argument, and you told me to wait.
Just, James, seriously, if there's one thing which pisses me off, it's when the footballers complain about being tired. Then you see stuff like this is happening like 3 days after the Premier League's finished.
I tell you what, footballers should not be tired. They have a short career where it lasts a maximum of 20 years, and if you're lucky enough to play at a Premier League level, your average wage is going to be about 40 grand a week, and you're complaining. 20 years down the line, you've still got half your life to live, and you're complaining about playing 38 games of football. Most players don't play, well, not 38, but most players don't play every game of the season. So I think they're a bit, I don't know, that lifestyle, you should not complain.
I just think when I saw this, I mean, even in I just think football is seriously, it's getting taken over so much by money, and this just screamed at me today that it's just getting ridiculous. I mean, I couldn't find what club it is, but there's some events in Asia also with all I saw was big European clubs are due in Asia this week for football. It's so frustrating. It just makes no sense. Nicholas,
I mean, I think if you think about, like Man City's a good example, right? So they got bagged with, financial fair play issues. They need to up their revenues to keep the club going at the level that they want to go at. So this kind of a thing makes perfect sense, right? So they're doing Australia for the Australian version of the International Champions Cup at the end of July. This is a cheap excuse. You can hop over, crawl a slightly new place, build a little brand, make some money, because I'm sure they're getting paid well to come over and field, a premier level lineup against, an in-season informed Toronto FC. So it should be a good game, or at least I would imagine it's going to be a good game, and it's certainly going to bring in some significant dollars for them.
I mean, I can see the financial reasons, I can see the commercial reasons, I can see why it's good, but it's just, it always comes back to the point that at some point, I will bet, at some point, either at the beginning of next season or during the season just gone, Pellegrini would have complained about tiredness of the players, or some of the Man City players might have mentioned it.
I'm sure. I don't doubt that they're going to gripe about fitness at some point with it.
Yeah, but then that goes back to the point of what James says. They're being paid massive amounts of money. They should be playing more than 38 games this season and still carrying on. Yes, they're entitled to a break. Everyone who works is entitled to a break.
Well, I'll tell you what I did hear.
Carry on?
I heard obviously they were talking about if the teams, I think it was is it Villa, if they go into the Europa League in the first stage, the players are only going to get two weeks vacation. I was thinking when I worked in England, I only got 2 weeks vacation. So I mean, James, you obviously your job is stressful, as in you're constantly moving backs and forwards, etc. I mean, I just think. Yeah, I mean, go on.
On Sundays, football clubs can turn up, train for 3 hours, and go home.
Well, that's it. I mean, I genuinely, if this is how football is becoming, where it's all about commercial, it's all about as soon as the Premier League's finished, they're then going to spend the summer travelling to different places. Then maybe the players can end up turning around and saying, well, okay, I want my 2-week holiday in December. And you can stick a holiday form in as if you like working a normal job. I mean, they need to have the set period, I think, which is throughout the whole of June, unless there's a World Cup event, for example.
Some footballers don't realise how blessed they are. I mean, like I've said, a 20-year career takes you to just under 40, let's say, and that is you set up for the next 40 years of your life and you'll never have to work again.
Yeah, I think I'm just pissed off at the fact that I literally watched a show where they were complaining about the Europa League. Then I switched over and saw that report. I was just like, really? Can you complain about being tired and then go off 3 days later? We'll jump onto the Premier League. I'll just quickly go down the results first. It was Arsenal 4, West Brom 1, Villa 0, Burnley 1, Chelsea 3, Sunderland 1, Crystal Palace 1, Swansea 0, Everton 0, Tottenham 1, Hull 0, Man United 0, Leicester 5, QPR 1, Man City 2, Southampton 0, Stoke 6, Liverpool 1, and Newcastle 2, West Ham 0. And can I just say to all of you dirty Mackhams out there, we finished above you. Oh, yeah. I see so many people, Sunderland fans, saying how bad Newcastle are and how it's so funny watching us do so bad, and yet we finished above you in the table. So if we're bad, what are you? James, go on. You can go first, sir. I mean, I think all of us, if you go through all of our Facebooks, we all kind of just posted pretty much the same stuff at the end of the game. It was just, yes, we survived.
That's exactly what it was. There was by no means was it a good season, an average season. It was an awful season. It was just very relieved. I was so nervous at the start of the game, even for the week before it. Every time I thought about the game, my stomach was going funny, and it just. I really believe that one game could define the next 10 years, because Last time we went down in 09, we kept a bulk of our squad and we managed to come straight back up. But this now, you go down, you lose your players. That is probably one of the toughest leagues in the world to get out of again. So it could have been a long road if we ever got back. Like we've seen Middlesbrough today, 7 years away, and they got a chance today and they couldn't do it. Who knows? It might be 7 years again before they get that chance. But as for the game, that Riviere miss at the start, just that told me that the day was just going to go wrong. He could have scuffed it and mishit it, and it would have went in, but he missed it completely after Janmaat just pretty much walked over with the ball in his hand and goes, "Here, Emmanuel, just kick it," and just oh god. But honestly, it was so intense, and it was a fantastic thing to be part of, and it was very exciting. But I've never celebrated 2 goals like that ever, never ever.
I mean, I'd just come home from hospital. I'd been told to take it easy, and oh, jeez, if my heart was bad in hospital, you should have felt it went during that game, James. I was sat on the edge of my seat, and when Gutierrez got that second, oh my days. It's the relief of the weeks and weeks and weeks of abuse from people on Facebook saying how Newcastle are going down, Colin, and then we go and survive on the last day.
Yeah, I have to agree. I was the edge of my seat that whole time, and until the first goal hit, and then you're sitting there thinking, oh my God, I was bouncing back and forth watching the whole game, and I'm like, oh God, they're still at 0-0. This is, we're gonna end up we're gonna draw, they're gonna win, we're going down on goals. This just isn't right. It was a long 2 hours.
I mean, what I did notice, Ryan, I don't know if did you see the game, Ryan?
Which one? I was watching both.
What I noticed was in the build-up to the match, it's almost like everyone wanted us to go down, because I don't know how many times, but they loved showing the time we went down at Villa. They just kept using that as the way to say, oh, this is a big weekend, and then they'd bring that pitch up again. It's like, you do know Hull got relegated a couple of years ago, maybe show that.
But it's like one of the near enough Premier League big clubs going down again.
I'm just saying here, Jake saying on the side, Anita was brilliant. Him and Jonas played their souls out. Thing is, well, Jonas, the amount of times he gave the ball away and stuff and just poor touches, but as we've said, he worked his arse off. And that's what you want. He kept getting back, he kept making the tackles, making up for mistakes. Anita was on form, as you say.
So he's one of those players that it would not bother me if he left Anita, but the couple of years he's been there, that is the best game he's ever played in our shirt, and he really stood up and countered. Apart from that little nervousness he got at the end where he should have just buried it himself or played a cleaner pass, I think he was a bit nervous, he didn't know what to do. But apart from that, he was top class, and what a performance to go out on.
He's like a Mikel though, isn't he? So he got over that halfway line, James. He had no idea what he was doing.
No, he doesn't get there in that position often. That's why you just didn't know what he was going to do, and he didn't either.
But we're just going to go to the Hull game. Obviously, Ryan is a United fan, unfortunately for you. First off, Abel Hernandez. Obviously, we all like to make Phil Jones make that funny face, but I've never seen someone punch him to try to get that to happen.
No, it's disgraceful behaviour. But then look at what Fellaini's gone and done. So
that was
there's actions that are, well, they're not questionable because Fellaini got sent off, and I think Abel Hernandez is going to get a fine and a suspension anyway. So
Fellaini's, it happens a lot in football. I think it's they look bad, and yes, they can cause a lot of injuries, but he didn't go in swinging full power or anything. It's that type of tackle players do quite often.
Initially, when I saw it, I thought he's not done that on purpose. But then when you see the after picture that I saw on Twitter of who is it? Was it McShane?
Yeah.
He stood on McShane's leg. Then it's malicious play. It's a red card, unfortunately. And Louis van Gaal, I think, he's given Fellaini a fine.
Yeah. Just quickly read downside. Tom Evans says Newcastle have a high reputation, so it's big news for them in bad situations. It's so bad that we went down. That they kept showing us going down. I was getting so nervous the more times I saw that. But I've just got the table up in front of me here. It's quite surprising to see that Man United only lost one game more than Man City and Arsenal did. And they only lost 8 games all season, and Arsenal and Man City lost 7. And also in the last 6 games, Man United lost 3. So before that, they'd actually lost less games than Man City and Arsenal. That was unexpected.
It seemed to me in the Hull game that the Man United players were already on holiday. They didn't seem to turn up. It was drab and dull. I generally thought Hull were going to go and get the win. I mean, look at it. They got the ball in the net twice. They were offside, but they showed that intent that they wanted to survive. They couldn't do it on the day, and that's been the same for them throughout the whole season. They haven't got enough goals, but Hull played really well, and Man United were really poor.
I mean, Hull got 33 goals in 38 games. There was only Burnley. Oh no, sorry, there was Sunderland with 31 and Aston Villa with 31. Then Burnley with 28, with less goals than Hull. But I mean, when you go down, you look. QPR went down. Easily deserved to go down. They conceded the most amount of goals in the Premier League, conceding 73 goals with a minus 31 goal difference.
Jesus.
Finished on 30 points, obviously 8 points behind Villa. Villa actually won 3 of the last 6 and only finished 3 points ahead of the drop. So that shows, Colin, the fantastic job that Sherwood did when he went in. I think no one can question what an amazing job he's done.
Yeah, I think I'm still not sold on him as a full season manager. I think obviously he went in, shook things up, and over the 8 or 9 games that he was in charge, he did enough to get through. Obviously, just enough. It wasn't like they were miles ahead of things. But yeah, I mean, it was a good job for him. I think the one thing that stands out in the table, and as much as I hate to admit it, is the job that Pardew did with Crystal Palace, bringing them to a 10th place finish in the standings. Above the likes of Everton and some of the other, the West Hams, West Broms. I mean, that was a pretty big leap for them.
I mean, yeah, it's fair play, James, to Pardew. I mean, they only won 2 of the last 6 games, and they were the last 2 games of the season. So if that hadn't happened, it would have been a totally different story. But unfortunately, it did. He's done a good job, but I just can't stand him. I'm glad he's gone. I'm looking at the bottom 10. We'll go from Palace. So it was Palace in 10th, Everton 11th, West Ham 12th, West Brom 13th, Leicester 14th, Newcastle 15th, Sunderland 16th, then Villa 17th. So out of them teams, one team I would pick out, even though they won 3 games of the last 6 and only lost 1 game of the last 6, is West Bromwich. They don't look like a normal Tony Pulis side, Ryan.
They don't, but
will he stay? Because he's only contracted till this end of this season.
Who knows? I mean, he is a great manager, and he's got his own philosophy. And I'm going to do a little plug for Strikerless here. He has tried to create a tactic in his style, so go and try and check that out as well.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Good job, Ryan. Now you mentioned Leicester, Colin, and what I would say is Cambiasso still hasn't confirmed if he's going to stay or go, and that could be a big miss for them.
That's. I think that's a defining moment for that squad. If he decides to go, they've got a lot of work to do on that. I was impressed with the run that they figured out how to go on at the end of the season.
Second top.
Yeah, it makes you kind of wonder that, either I doubt, given the length of time that run went over, I doubt that it was everybody else in the league checked out. So there's clearly some quality hanging around there. I'm wondering if they're going to be able to put it together earlier in the season next year to do something with it or not.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, James, you're going to hate this. I'm just. In fact, most people are probably going to be actually shocked I'm going to say this, but I'm just looking at Sunderland's record, and their record is fairly decent, James. They only lost 14, and the next team to have only lost 14 is Stoke in ninth, along with Southampton and Swansea, both lost 14 also. Their issue was drawing 17 games, James. So if they could turn around next year, James, they could do fairly well.
I think that's what the exact reason why Jermaine Defoe's brought in, to get that extra goal each game, turn those draws into wins. And they've done it again. The last few games, they always seem to pull out the bag. That's when they really turn up. But going back to Tony Pulis at West Brom, in January he signed a 2.5-year deal, so he's still got time.
Okay. Wow, he got interviewed last week and he was saying he doesn't know if he's going to stay. That's strange. Okay, well, it's definitely something to watch, because he was saying he wasn't sure if he was going to stay. He was going to have to sit and talk to the chairman. Just quickly.
Well, he made a big call and released Youssef Malumbu yesterday, and he didn't take up the 12-month optional contract on him, so that was a big surprise.
That is a big surprise.
There'll be a few Premier League clubs will take him on.
Don't worry, guys. In the upcoming weeks, people who are listening, we will have a lot of transfer updates from the WizKid himself, James, who will pop up with stuff like that. I didn't even know that happened. Just quickly jump down the side for people who are talking. It will take Burnley a while to get back up. They all performed in the Championship, and QPR were bad in transfer window going. See, I actually think opposite. I don't know about you, Ryan, but I actually fancy Burnley to come back up.
Yeah, I read that and I was waiting for you to comment on it, and I think exactly the same. I think Burnley are coming straight back up.
Yeah, but don't forget Nicholas just doesn't really understand football. He's listening just to learn a little bit, I think. Just quickly down. Oh yeah, we have to mention the Liverpool game, Colin. Steve Gerrard's final game before he travels over to your neck of the woods. Well, not too close to you, but to the United States to play for LA Galaxy.
Yeah, I honestly, when I saw the first score at 5-0 at the end of the half, I thought I thought that they got it wrong. That is a really hard way to go.
I mean, did you see the highlights or not?
No, I missed the highlights of it. I was gonna check it out, but anytime you lose 6-1, that's nothing good happened. Literally everything you did that day was wrong.
Well, what I would say is Gerrard had a couple of good chances, which I think any Americans watching will think, oh, he actually looks like he's still got something in it, because I know there's been a lot of talk, James, of Gerrard just sitting back now, but obviously he made a couple of bursts on past the last defender and obviously got the goal as well.
Yeah, I mean the goal that Gerrard scored is the only positive from that game from a Liverpool side, and the goal that he did score was Gerrard of 3-4 years ago. Just the ball in the air, he bursts through from centre midfielder on his own, slots it past the keeper. Now, for me, that shows signs that he still has that ability to burst through, and of course, with him surely going to control, dictate tempo, be able to get forward plenty in the MLS, that is a good sign for LA Galaxy, but that he can still do that instead of expected to play deeper and just pull the strings, because that was Gerrard of 3-4 years ago every weekend, and it was good to see.
I loved the fact that I saw him playing in that role, because it was when he was shite. Well, I think that's been polite. When they went past the defenders, I couldn't believe he still had that pace in him, because he didn't half leave them for dead. So fair play to him.
It's embarrassing that game.
It was so bad. I think.
I don't care. Last game of the season, you're playing for nothing. It was just awful. And Brendan Rodgers tried to go strikerless style, and it was just embarrassing. No striker in the starting 11 at all. It's just shocking.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head, didn't you, when you messaged Guido from strikeless.com and said he tried to copy, and it just didn't work.
Yeah. It's risky in the modern Premier League game.
Yeah. Jake's on the side just saying that James gets all his intel from him. We know it, don't worry. James will give you a thank you at the end. But we're just trying to move on to look at a couple of potential improvements that Ryan wants to talk about first at Man United. Unfortunately, we'll have to listen to this.
Well, I put it on for
rubbish
both.
for a minute.
You got Newcastle on there as well.
I know, but we've still got to listen to this rubbish first.
Yeah, you can talk about other teams. This is just my opinion on Man United.
No, go on, sorry. There's a lot of Man United fans strangely around the world. So, I mean, you've got here that they're linked with Bale, Klein, Lloris, Otamendi, Sterling, Gundogan, I can never pronounce. Strootman, what's happening with Strootman? Because obviously he picked up that, in some newspapers, a career-ending injury. And he's come out and said it's not, but then the doctors come out and said it is. So, do you know anything on that? Or?
I have no idea, but it worries me because there's two people in that list that are quite injury prone. You got Gundogan, who's not long come back from a long injury himself, and Strootman, who's possibly got a career-ending injury. So I'm hoping.
Gundogan's not injury prone. He just had one bad injury.
Yeah, he's had one bad injury, but then we're going to buy him. That's like what we've done with Falcao. He's not turned out to be great. He'd not long come back from a very bad injury, and it didn't turn out very well.
I think we'll have Falcao in Newcastle. There's no worries. It can't be worse than Vivier.
I'm actually curious. I think the Falcao thing is a really interesting piece because I think you're right. I think that obviously the knee injury was bigger than I think they wanted to let on, and I'm really curious. I'd be really interested to see if Monaco tries to sell him to get him off the books and make some kind of money and where he lands next season.
I think he needs to go to a less physical league than the Premier League because it showed so many times this year he just wasn't up to the physicality at all. I mean, the size of him, he's a very, very big man, and he's getting knocked off the ball by some smaller players than him. He's not up to it.
I'm going to make a prediction and say Falcao will stay at Monaco and finish top goal scorer in the French league next season, and Man United fans will eat their own words.
I was just about to say I'd like to see him actually stay at Monaco and just get a good season under his belt, get some goals. Because as James says, if he gets top goal scorer as well, it's just going to give him a bit of confidence, isn't it?
He'll go back to being the main man.
Yeah, there's a list here Ryan's put of people who need to be sold. Evans is obviously linked with Everton, which would be a good signing for them. Cleverly, obviously, he could go back to Villa. Lindegaard, where they need someone to get the balls when the training's finished. Saying that Raphael could do that. Or Raphael could join his brother on 90 grand a week or something at QPR, couldn't he?
He could.
And then Nani, I could see actually just staying in Portugal. I don't know about you, James, because he's doing well there. The confidence thing again.
You'll have to take a huge wage cut if he's going to Portugal, unless it's Porto or Benfica. But I don't know with him actually. It's a strange situation. What's going to go on with him? I can't see him staying at Man United, but I really am unsure where he's going to be.
Now, Jake's just said he's seen that Falcao was linked with Chelsea.
I wouldn't imagine. I can't imagine.
Do you know what? It always confuses me. It's happened in the past where someone does a proper shit season and he ends up going to another big club.
Benteke will replace Drogba.
I think Benteke is going to either go there. I saw him linked with Liverpool, but I just don't think he'll want to go there.
It's a real shame that he would go there to replace Drogba, and it still keeps Loic Remy third. I know they only play one striker, but I'm a Loic Remy man, and for me, he's one of the deadliest finishers. When he gets a chance, he scores goals, and it's a shame just to see him playing third choice, but he doesn't complain. He's wanting the medals at the moment, and that's what he wants, to look back on his career and say, I won this.
Yeah.
Do you think if a Benteke shows up at Chelsea next year that Mourinho would look to shift the style to try and figure out how to get Costa and Benteke on the field at the same time?
No, I think he'd be happy to say, I'm the boss, you're going to sit on the bench, and give him 30 minutes.
I can see that.
Just for something different, we're going to end the show tonight with, I want the biggest name to leave the Premier League this summer and the biggest name to come into the Premier League this summer. Off the top of your heads, and just because I know he'll be thinking hard now, I'm going to go to Ryan first.
Oh God, come to me last. I've got to think.
Told you. I think the biggest name to leave will be Sergio Aguero to Real Madrid. And I think the reason that's going to happen is Gareth Bale's going to come to United. Because I've said it's not going to happen, which means it's guaranteed it's going to end up happening. What about yourself, Colin?
What's the Valencia guy? The defender of Valencia that, I was just reading about him the other day.
Can't be that big of a name, Colin, if you can't even remember it.
Well, you put me on the spot. My brain's running like a million miles an hour. I think Aguero is probably the biggest one to go out. I don't know if he's going to land at Real Madrid. I know that they've been starting to talk about him, but it'd be interesting to see if he goes out of the Premier League, if somebody like a Benzema is going to come in.
That would be interesting. I think if he goes there, possibly, because you've got to look at that. Real Madrid need to balance the books for the fair play. That's why if they obviously linked with Aguero, so then someone like Bale or Benzema will have to go to fund that deal on the fair play side of it. James, do you have one?
The biggest to go out, sadly, will be David De Gea. I don't want him to leave, but I think he will, and I think it's going to be a merry-go-round. I think Lloris will go to Man United, and I wouldn't say bank on this, but Tim Krul could be going to Spurs. That's just a small prediction. And the biggest one to come in, it's a tough one. I would like to say Bale, but I just don't see him coming yet. And it all depends on the new manager at Real Madrid, to be fair.
True.
I don't know. Marco Reus. We'll go Marco Reus. I'll say he'll be in the Premier League.
Oh, tough one. Just quickly, Nicholas said Otamendi's to Valencia.
Yeah, that's the name I was thinking of.
Go on, Ryan, then. Time's up.
I'm going to go. I think De Gea's going to go. Purely because he missed. And I'm going to go Bale's going to come in. So he'll be part of the De Gea deal.
And just quick downside, Jake said Van Persie out, Vidal in. That's an interesting one.
I don't. The only thing about Van Persie is who takes him on the money he's on.
I think it'd be a massive pay cut, and he'd be going to somewhere like Inter Milan or something.
I don't think Vidal is gonna leave Juve, especially with the money from Pogba coming in this summer. I think he's gonna stay.
Yeah.
I think Juve forever, man.
And just end the show because Charlie has turned up, saying we are in the Premier League. So we'll just end by saying congratulations to Norwich again. Hope you had a good day at the game, Charlie, and anyone else who went to the game today. Thanks for coming on, guys.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
And we'll be back for Thursday night. We'll be myself and James. I think Ryan is in Dublin.
I am.
So if you want to stalk him, you know where he is. Slacker indeed. Good night.